Alright. Alright. So, Blaster Master. I've been playing this one for a little while now. I'm liking it a lot. I think I got to the final stage. I don't actually know if it's the final stage. The manual seemed to suggest there's 8 stages. Please don't tell me if you know, but it was a dangerous place. So I gotta take a second shot at it tonight. Well, hopefully I'll get back there. I've had some disasters on the way. Hi there, Raspy-Doo. Thanks for the good luck. So I'm gonna get started now, and we'll see how this goes. So I believe you can continue 4 times in this version of the game. In the Japanese version, I didn't point it out before it happened, but every time you start a new life, the tank is facing left, and it turns right without you doing anything. It's like it starts in the left-facing state, about to turn right. So at the start of the game, the tank is like up here, and you'll see it turn around and fall to the ground. But it's too late now. I've already done this. Maybe if I continue in Area 1, which is possible. I mean, Area 1, like none of the areas in this game are a slouch for difficulty, and we have to come back to this area eventually. All right. So this is about my 6th or 7th attempt at playing the game, I guess. And some of my earlier attempts had unusual setbacks. Like, the reason I started playing this game was I was doing some repair work on one of my NES machines. And I thought I had fixed a problem where it periodically resets, and it turns out I hadn't, but I had made it better. So I was playing this game for a while on that system just to test it, and it seemed like it was good for a while, and then it started resetting again. So So I've gone back to my other NES. I consider this my spare NES. But, yeah, there was one night where I got pretty far and it reset. And I decided I didn't want to risk that again. But, the night before that, I think, I had, twice I had discovered a way to get stuck in the wall in the game, and there's no way to get out of that. If that happens, you gotta reset. A nice ox? A nice ox is nice. What do you mean it's not nice? I don't know what you're saying there. So sometimes a gun power-up appears here, behind these walls, but not this time. Tune in on April 1st, yes. There might be you might catch a glimpse of an ice ox on April 1st. That is true. But, if you do want to know the answer, so there's a very obscure DOS RPG called Aspetra, which I'm not sure how many people in the world have played long enough to see a nice ox, but a nice ox is an enemy in that game. And then a nice ox is also an enemy in that game. It's rather bizarre. at that point you seem to be fighting the concept that a nice ox is nice. I did archive it. The maker of the game, he at one point said that it should be considered public domain, but otherwise I don't think he's very available on the internet these days. So I couldn't really ask, but he had said that before, and I don't know. And I found it hard to find. Doesn't seem to be a very well-known game. I think a lot of people played the shareware version who were looking for RPGs, you know, circa 1998 on the internet. There was a shareware version of it, and then you could, like, mail him a check for $30 or something to get the whole game. And I don't know how many people did. Myself at that age didn't really have any experience writing checks or $30 that I wanted to spend on the Spectra, but I don't know. I would love to own a floppy disk with whatever came in the mail with the Spectra nowadays. But I don't think I'll ever see that come up on eBay. So, in that first boss, we get this, what is it called? This is my spare NES. It just reset. Oh. That reset for a different reason, though. That was the lockout chip. The lockout chip just decided, nope. Things are not correct. I'm going to reseat the cart. Yeah, at least it wasn't 3 hours. Well, get a legal copy of this game. Hey, if Sunsoft sold it on a service that I had access to, I would definitely buy that. But until then, I'll do this. I guess I could get a cartridge copy. I do not have one at this point. I'm not much of a collector. I'd rather own the ROM digitally and then play it on my Power Pack than own another cart, but I do have a modest NES collection. Most of it's homebrew games. And even then, I'd rather just buy the ROM, but I like to support the people making homebrew games and the people making homebrew games on cart. So between the two of them, I usually like to get the cart. And that also gets into one of the reasons why I care about my other NES that I was trying to repair. That NES has a modification to it, which lets me plug a USB. It's called a Copy NES. It lets me plug a USB port into the back and take control of the CPU from a computer, which can be used to dump carts, which I do for all my homebrew carts, just in case they don't come with a ROM. Actually, even if they do come with a ROM, I like to dump the cart ROM just to see if it's different. Okay, I should try not to die here. careful with these jellyfish. Why are you going that way? It was on all 3 virtual consoles plus Nintendo Switch Online? Okay. Is Wii U Virtual Console still up? Okay. Well, then I will get a legal copy of this game. Post-haste. Post-haste? What does that even mean? But maybe not post-haste, because I'm busy playing it right now. I haven't looked at my Wii U in a while. I probably should plug it in. There's some Wii U games I want to get through. I still haven't played Bayonetta 2, that's the main one. Okay, we're back in here. Whoa! Okay. That was ineffective. Well, I don't know why I saw power-ups there once. It's really weird to me. Maybe there's some sort of bug that causes them to get lost. Or oversight. Yeah, I remember Euphoria was on the Wii U Virtual Console, and I was really disappointed because they didn't get the sound right. But it was okay, because I didn't want to play it on Virtual Console anyway. I just wanted to pay for a copy of it and then play it the way I like to play things. Neo Geo games on GOGs. Yeah, actually a lot of games like on GOG. I grabbed the ROM or whatever it is, or the DOS files, and then I've put them into my own version of DOSBox that I prefer, or sometimes I put them on my actual computer. Alright, so we're back. Wait, did I climb all the way up the ladder? I forgot that I learned that you could swim up there faster and then grab the ladder in midair. But it's possible I did that without thinking. And I still wonder if speedrunners fight the first boss or not. Because I still have a suspicion that it's not necessary. But then again, the lack of this weapon... Like, this weapon is a huge advantage in a lot of ways. So maybe it would still make sense to get it, but I kind of wonder if you can get to the second area with just missiles. Alright, into this little minefield. Area 2. Oh yeah, bugs come right at you. Neo Geo Pocket Color Collection for Switch. It has sounded like limited release games has had hardware availability problems, and a lot of releases have been delayed recently. Which makes sense with the current shortages. I have not yet actually received anything from limited release games, so I don't know what it's usually like ordering from them. I did order an Always Awakening NES cartridge from them because I wanted to have that because I was instrumental in making it and wasn't sure I'm not sure, they might send me a free copy. I bought more than one copy. So they might send me a free copy, but I want more than one copy. So I made sure that I would get at least two. But I have no idea when they're going to ship. I'm not entirely certain that LRG knows when they're going to ship either. It seemed like, from what I heard about like past releases of cartridges, that they they don't manufacture the boards themselves. They might do like the print stuff, but the boards and stuff might usually be done by like East Asian electronics companies, manufacturers, like a lot of stuff is, I guess. But it seemed like in some, like they were using some boards that were also seen in like you know, popular pirate multi-cart kind of things, but they also said that they got them to make a custom board for the Always Awakening game. It looked like the same board, but it had like a custom printing to it. So I think they have like a direct line with the company. They're not just using existing parts. So maybe it's a good board. I don't actually know. I heard some people suspicious of some of them because of the association with the pirate multi-carts and whatnot, but they might actually be just fine. So I don't know. I'm curious what the hardware is like inside. And of course I hope it's fine. I got a funny email like yesterday. Basically, you know, mailing list spam. It's like I ordered something from someone once and you know, they email you whenever they have a new product or whatever. But what was funny about this one was that, you know, I get the email and I'm like, why why am I on this mailing list? I don't remember this person. And then I like checked, and it's like 4 years ago I ordered a t-shirt, and I don't remember getting it or not. I'm not certain if I actually received it. And I think it would have been a gift. I have to remember who I might have given it to. I'm trying to figure out. But it's like even if I didn't receive it, am I even remembering what I would have done with it if I had? I don't know. So it's just a weird situation. I'm wondering if I can do this boss faster with... Oh, but I like to keep the gun. Let's try and stay closer so more of my shots hit. There we go. I seem to recall in the second version of this boss, it's probably the same for this one. But it takes a little stun whenever you hit it. So if you do damage to it rapidly enough, it mostly doesn't fight back. I think that's what I noticed last time, so maybe I should try and get in there and hit it fast. I don't know. But yeah, it's just funny, like sometimes... Did that thing shoot at me? I didn't think those things shot, or maybe I just ran into it and didn't realize. Alright. So... oh yeah, we just got the Crusher. Hi there, Kakalakola. My my cartridge, I guess, got loose earlier, and it started resetting. It seems fine now. Because this is my spare NES, and like... like I don't want to like modify it. I kind of... like this is supposed to be my pristine NES as opposed to my other NES, which still needs repairs, which... here we are. I think this is the way to... Sorry, what was I saying? Oh yeah, my other NES has a lot of modifications. So yeah, I don't know if I finished saying what it was, but like the Copy NES lets me take control of the CPU. You can use it to dump carts, but you can also use it to do experiments with the NES directly without having to write a program and run stuff on it. So it's useful for certain things. But mainly it was designed for dumping carts, or sometimes like dumping save games. Like, say I had a save game on a really lengthy game, and oh, I gotta be careful in this section. I'm already... wow. Like, say I had a save game and I was like halfway into a game, and I wasn't playing on Power Pack, it was like on an original cart, therefore, you know, I don't have a save file that I could copy and use on an emulator. You can use the copy nest to extract the save from it, or put a save file on it. It goes both ways. It's very useful for doing both of those, extracting saves that you want to preserve, and duplicating them, putting them on carts. Come on. So, in this section, it's always hard to get your power back up. So have to be careful here. How are you doing, Coca-Cola? Whee! Hi there, James Ed Smith. How's it going? You've also grown a beard? I was thinking of shaving. It's getting a bit longish for me. I don't know. My beard is just the result of laziness. I don't like shaving. That's why I let it grow, but then it gets itchy, or I get annoyed with it, and then I shave. Nice. Try to go real careful through this section, because several times I've taken a death right about here, just because it's a little bit hard to collect your energy back up in this section of the game than most places. But we're almost through that, because I think like in the next room it stops being so much of a problem. But then it's hard to avoid these enemies. They're a bit erratic and they come right at you. Give him the shocker? Yeah. Oh yeah, my trick I discovered. So, that enemy just below has been scrolled off, but if I pause and unpause, they come back. So I think after unpausing, it respawns everything on the whole visible screen, whereas normally enemies unspawn when they get too close to the bottom of the screen, but it's like a narrower window. I don't know. That's my kind of guess of how it works, but I like using that trick there to potentially get a power up. Okay, I don't think I go down and left. I think that just leads to an optional dungeon. Oh, I'm at full power. Okay. Here we are. The S room. The S might stand for Sunsoft. Could also stand for Sophia the Third. Probably a full hover. It's funny how you can't see your hover, like you have a meter, but you can't see how much you're holding until you actually have the hover ability, which is kind of weird, because you start picking them up at the start of the game. And that was one of the things I initially found pretty confusing about the game. Like, I'd collect H, but it didn't do anything. Once I read the manual, I completely understood. Alright. Oh, wait, no, there's more rooms? Aye. Wow, okay. I had forgotten about this room. A long way down. Alright, getting close. Here we are. Well, I don't know. For me, the only feedback I needed was just the manual saying H is for hover, and then the question was answered. I don't know. And it did explain that you get hover later. Like, the information is there, it's just not presented in-game up front. I don't know, I kind of love, especially for computer games, how much like the manuals tended to be like, oh, this is probably the first computer game this person has ever played, so let's tell them how to use their computer step by step. Yeah. Oh, I always read the manual. Like, when I was a kid, like, I would bring the manuals to school and read them at recess and stuff, because couldn't wait to get home and play the game for 20 minutes before other people got home and wanted to use the TV. So I'd spend the day thinking about the game and what I was going to do with it. It's kind of funny though, like game manuals... Well, yeah, they used to tell you a lot about what was in the game. Like before game manuals kind of disappeared altogether, they got really boring. They got filled with like copyright and credits information instead, which are fine to have in there, but it was like, I don't know. I just remember some really like I was still compulsively reading manuals as long as they came with games, and they emphatically weren't worth reading for a very long time before they just disappeared entirely. So I don't know. And I wholly agree that it's ideal if everything you need to play the game is presented to you within the game. Okay, I'm gonna switch to grenade here, because, like, this room has gotten too packed because I'm not destroying these fast enough. Whoa, is that a new one? Oi. Okay. Hey, the Renaissance. How's it going? Thanks for the good luck. MechWarrior 2 collection, a book with MechWarrior lore, enemy lists. Oh man, one of the greatest manuals. Hi there, Markland Cadet. One of the greatest manuals I ever had was Sim Ant for the PC. It came with like a third of the manual was instructions on how to play the game and information about Maxis or whatever. And then the rest of it was basically a big book about ants. And it got me so interested in ants. There was a lot of neat information in there. I ended up building like an ant farm and thinking a lot about ants for a long while. I still think a lot about ants and insects because of it, I think. It really kind of stoked a fire. One thing about manuals, like, especially in this era, like NES era, putting a significant amount of text in a game would take away a lot of data from, you know, you could use it for music, you could use it for graphics, like, you'd have to make a choice which of those things was more important, and I think a lot of times it definitely would have been the right choice to leave that story in the manual. I really hate this section because you can't... That one... Maybe I could hit it with homing missiles, I don't know. Japanese manuals for Tengen games? I've not heard anything about those. That'd be interesting. But yeah, so I don't know. I would agree, like, in today's games, definitely try and put the manual in the game. But at the same time, in today's games, text costs nothing in terms of storage space relative to the rest of the game, so I always like to point out, you have to, if you shoot straight up, your gun goes a little bit to the side, so if you're pushed against the wall, you're still on the left block. So this won't clear the right block, so you gotta turn around against the wall there. Totally Rad has a manual insert for slang. Alright, so now that we've got hover, we go back to Area 1, which I really love how that's structured. I think it's really neat to go back to the very beginning. I think it would have been more impactful for me if I'd played it when I was younger. Like, if this is a game I'd spend months on and rather than days, like, it probably would have taken me a long time to get to the hover in the first place. And like, when I got there, I would have seen the start of the game a whole bunch of times. So I would have had like a better mental picture of the start of the game. I would have had more time to think about, like, hey, there's a ledge up there. I wonder what's up there. So I really like that, but I also feel it doesn't quite pay off as well for me as an adult, just because I tend to get through games like this a lot faster than I did back then. don't think I need to farm for hover at all either. Like 6 should be enough to get me across that climb if I don't waste any here. Which I might. It's easy to accidentally press jump while you're in midair. Translations of SNES RPGs limited to space constraints? Yes. Japanese text tends to be, well, uncompressed. Like the short of it is that they have more letters, so their words can afford to be shorter. So, you know, for an English text, you only need 30 characters or so, whereas Japanese might have 100 or 60. It depends on the kind of options for like how big the alphabet is, but words tend to be shorter, and if it's like a byte per letter, it ends up being a lot smaller than the equivalent English, which is usually about twice as big, or maybe more, under those constraints. Hi there, Jan Lantan. When you compress them, that kind of goes away, but it was hard to do effective compression. So anyhow, that was the start of the game. I didn't remark on it as I finally got there. But there's a ledge you start just underneath, and you have to come back here and figure out to fly up there with your new power. Yeah, so like the base alphabet is kind of the equivalent of 2 letters of English, more or less. And for that reason, the text tends to be more dense, byte for byte, if you're just storing as bytes. And that's the thing, like, you could use 5 bits to store an English letter. But that would only be, like, if you had access to that compression, you could compress the Japanese as well, and it might only need 7 bits, so I don't know, it'd probably only be like 10 or 20% compression. And you really need kind of like twice as much. Where am I going? Oh, I've got one of these tricky places. Yeah, these aren't a lockout, but it's tricky to make a diagonal jump into a shape like that. Oops. What am I doing? Just messing around here. Okay. Yeah, 4 characters it's basically like 8 characters worth of name in Japanese, or 8 English characters. So that was common, that they'd have to shorten names, like you have in, like River City Ransom, you have, oh, what was Ricky's name? Well, Ricky would have fit in 4 letters, but you have Alex instead of Kunio. And I forget Ricky's name for some reason. Ricky's name in River City Ransom. Is it Jeff or something? Alright. We go left, then down. Ah, I'm realizing why I got lost in previous times. Okay. Wait, do I go down? No. Ryan. Yeah, that makes sense. I think it was Ryan. But anyway, yeah, I read an interview with Ted Woolsey, and he said the way they were storing text in Final Fantasy VI, each character was 2 bytes, which is sometimes necessary for like Japanese with complicated characters if they want to really. They have, like I said, there's options for more complicated characters and less complicated, and they aid comprehension and stuff, but the data requirements get bigger. But then all of a sudden you had 2 bytes per letter and English, so it was sort of like a double whammy of, you know, needing more space, but also not being able to use... Yeah. A wide character. So I don't know if that's something they adapted before shipping or not, but he said that was the situation when he got there. Like, he did a translation, and they're like, yeah, this is 3 times as big as it needs to be, or something like that, and he thought he had been concise. Ah, I lost my gun. Oh well. Should pay more attention. But yeah, I mean, like, that's the kind of situation they were in, where, like, you could not... And that's another... Like, modern ROM hacks can often just expand the ROM size, and that doesn't cost anything. I don't know what Final Fantasy III US has. And yeah, that's just what it said in the interview. I don't know anything with the system. Like, I kind of wonder if they wouldn't have adapted it to give him more room once he got there, but I don't know. He also said something about the Final Fantasy IV manual, about a typo that's in it, which, as far as I know, isn't in the manual, so I don't know what it's... So I don't know if he's remembering all the details exactly correctly, but... Yeah, he said he had to edit his script down multiple times before it fit. So... Yeah, expanding the ROM makes sense in modern ROM hacks too. Like, there's much less necessity to keep it to the same size, especially if you're intending to distribute it in an emulator, or to be played in an emulator where, you know, there's no production cost of this. I don't know. I remember someone complaining that and it was like a DS version of a Dragon Warrior game, Dragon Quest, could have had an orchestral soundtrack, which was proven by like a ROM hacker doing it, and that like Sugiyama had specifically wanted to compose another version of it and forced them to do it or something like that. But no, it's like the ROM hack makes the ROM way bigger and would have cost them a ton of money in production costs. Like, there's a big reason that they left it out. But at the same time, like, the ROM hack itself is really neat. Nolan Bushnell saying that the Atari 2600 had 128 bits of memory. I realized too late that that was going to be fire. Oh, I missed. Yeah, there's a lot of neat stuff going on with ZX games. And also, there's like the later model ZX, which, you know, had a lot more memory and other stuff going on. And sometimes I see a thing that says ZX Homebrew and I realize it's for a different machine. Like, I look at it and I'm like, wow, that's amazing for ZX, but then I realize it's for a different machine than most ZX games that I'm familiar with. Which, I don't know, sometimes kind of funny. Like, I don't know, that happens to me with, like, Atari STE, like, kind of the next computer after the Atari ST. It was mostly backwards compatible, but I feel like a lot of homebrewers like to use it. Like, it just gives them more capabilities and stuff. Or maybe gives them an easier time of development. And it gets lumped in with Atari ST Homebrew, and I look at it and I'm like, oh, wait. And then I realize I can't run it on my machine, and it isn't playing by the rules of Atari ST as I know them. Oh, how I feel about FM on Master System? My feelings about FM on Master System aren't so much that as I just think the FM soundtracks are poorly done. I liked the Kenseiden one, and I haven't run into another one that I thought was an improvement over the PSG soundtrack. I just think most of them are kind of phoned in and not well orchestrated. And I do feel similar about Roland MP32 in games, because, like, I feel that was a niche, expensive thing, which very few people had, and now it seems to be the default for a lot of people experiencing LucasArts or Sierra games. And I feel like the ad-lib version, I don't know, maybe I just like the ad-lib version better in almost all cases. Yeah, ad-lib was super common, and I feel like the soundtracks might have been a little bit optimized for that, since that was what most people were going to be using. Yes, there is a mapper for Famicom that offered FM sound. It's actually the same, basically the same hardware as a Master System. Actually, it's slightly cut down from the Master System, but it's a very similar family of chip. It's like Master System without the percussion. Not Master System, but Mark III with the FM add-on. Yeah, used for Lagrange point. Which, yeah, that's another funny thing about, like, data sizes. Lagrange point has a lot of cool tunes, but they're all like 35 seconds long. And it's just a shame to me that, like, they go to all this expense of putting in new hardware and working with it, and they couldn't spare all that much space for music data. And also, like, the FM data would have been less compact than the sound. So I just find the soundtrack, listening to it by itself is fine because you don't have to linger on a track, but playing it, they're really loopy. Like the battle tune, there's a list on Wikipedia of games that falsely claim MT32 support. That's funny. I didn't know there was a rampant fraud. I'm not sure that the patches were actually tailored to Lagrange point. Like, they were only used in that one game. I'm not sure who chose the patch set or why. I've never seen commentary on that. There was that one Red Bull documentary that interviewed the composer, I think. But, yeah. Oh, hi Nathan. Yeah, this area is my favorite in terms of the environment art, but this game is a beautiful, beautiful NES game. Now we go underwater. But, like, he did comment on the patches, so, like, does that mean he composed for OPL and then had the engineers bake those patches into the machine? But anyway, like, I don't know if I consider those patches optimized for... I guess they're just the patches they wanted. But at some point you're stuck with them. And presumably if they decided it was worth doing another game with it, they could have redone the patches, I guess, but there's only one. It's a moot point. There was another game that used the mapper, I believe. I think it was Tiny Toons something for Famicom, but if I remember correctly. But it didn't use the music capabilities. And I think they decided it wasn't worth it after they did it. Like, it's just patches the game. I don't know about that. So yeah, like I don't think the patches are really I think the patches as they exist are pretty versatile. They're just different than the standard 2413 patches, which were just supposed to be like a set appropriate for, you know, your Casio toy piano kind of deal. Here's 15 instruments we can just bake into the chip. Wait, can I go up? Yeah, that's where I'm going. I like how these bomber enemies, they're not hostile towards humans, just tanks. Alright. Wow, my power's low. Build that back up. But I don't know, like the patches themselves, I don't know, like maybe if they had made another game, they'd do another release of the chip with different patches, but with everything like people have done in the homebrew music scene with it. I think the VRC, like the existing patches, are pretty usable for a lot of versatile things. I've heard some really good tunes using it. Oh yeah, okay. I hate this room. I'm gonna get hit. Hit twice. Oh well. So, this boss is a nightmare without at least one gun power-up, so I hope I get it. In fact, if I don't, maybe I should walk out and come back. Whoa, that was an aggressive crab. This one's a lot easier to fight off with a gun power-up as well. Still no gun power-up. We got another enemy here? Okay. There we go. Okay, now I've got a chance. Jaws is a game I should stream some night. It has a really pleasant soundtrack. And it's not too complicated a game. Might be fun for a short stream or part of a multiple game, short game stream. But I had a friend who had that. And every time I'd visit them, like, we'd play it once, and mostly I just like the nice music from it. We never beat it. If I get a little bit closer. Oh, I hate the mashing this boss. I'm just giving my hand a break here. Okay. Nice, I actually got a few hits in a row in. Come on. So I really wish this game didn't have the strafe feature, because then this boss would be designed differently. I think it would probably be more fun. Or maybe not so much designed differently, as it wouldn't be quite so aggressive. Necessitating the strafe, there we go. They were taken directly from a PLL. Might be... Oh, so he thought they'd be difficult to use in other titles. I feel that's a reasonable thing to think. It's just, I've seen people do so much cool stuff with those samples, or with those patches anyway. So I think in practice, it doesn't. I don't think it's as limiting as it seemed. Yeah, turbo would be nice. I don't have an auto fire pad for my NES, but if I was playing on emulator, probably would use turbo for that boss. I do kind of frequently use turbo when I think that a game has too much mashing. This game has not quite too much for me to find it intolerable, but I still needed to take a break midway through that boss. But I don't know, certain arcade games, like when I played Fantasy Zone in the arcade, or the arcade version, or the Master System version, those needed auto fire for me. Toki for the Lynx, which I still haven't beaten. There was just too much mashing and I felt that needed auto fire. Sounds like they should have let me hold B to shoot. Yeah. Surprisingly less difficult with turbo? I don't know. I wouldn't think that's surprising. Like, it's... My Toki quest is incomplete, yeah. I was working on it, and then... I thought I had repaired my NES, so I started playing this game. And then it turned out I hadn't repaired my NES. But I'm glad I took a break from it and started playing this game, because this is way more fun than Toki for the Lynx. I'm hoping Toki for the Genesis is redeeming, because I owned it way back and I didn't like it, but maybe giving it a second chance I'll like it. Reasonable compared to some of them? Some of what? I liked the Commodore 64 version of Toki better than the Lynx. Lynx is the worst, in my opinion. Alright, so we've got the dive item. I like the thought that my human character, Jason, just like carried that all the way back. Oh, right, I can't go through there. I have to go around. I keep accidentally. So you can press... This is the only place where like pressing down does a movement, but if you're floating in water, pressing down... I like how this like snail here keeps like scrolling in and then scrolling out. Yeah, I thought I was expecting the game to have a significant section where you have to get out, so I was expecting it, and I'm glad it's here, because it's really cool. So, because the control for using your alt weapon is down and fire, sometimes you're trying to swim down and end up using it. One thing I'd like to see in this game, which I really haven't, is a boss battle in the tank. There was that door in Area 1 That was kind of like barely a thing. I have to wonder if that door wasn't the inspiration for boss doors in Super Metroid. Like, it feels very much like those. Both in function and look. Even though it isn't the door to a boss, but... Actually, this room in particular feels very much like a room in Meridia, too. I don't know. This game has made me feel like Super Metroid a lot while playing it. And I feel like it must have been a big touchstone for the designers. Hi, Cinestubborn, how's it going? Still working on Blaster Master here. Ooh, it wasn't letting me go to the right. You're doing Holy Diver too? How come everyone is playing Holy Diver all of a sudden? I'm really curious about that. I kind of feel like just casually cheating through Holy Diver just to get a sense of it. I'm not sure I want to actually play it, but... the Renaissance just kind of put a seed in my mind of, oh, this isn't where I need to go. Of maybe fixing it. I guess we're in a bit of a midnight sea right now. Yeah, I need to go this way. Alright. I don't know. Like, the thought about playing it as it is... I've seen how long it's taken people to play through it, so it's not high on my list because it doesn't look... I don't know. I've got a bunch of other games that I'd rather put time into than Holy Diver, but I am interested in the game. Which is why I'm thinking of just doing a casual stream of it, where I play through it and kind of get a sense of it. Sileus vibes. Was it the same composer for this as Sileus? I don't actually know who composed this soundtrack. Yeah, this game has such fantastic music. Like, it's so impressive, and it's so early in the, well, it's not an early NES game, but it's not a late NES game either. Like, Gimmick is an amazing game, but it's also like 1992? I forget if this is 88 or 89, but it's still... You know, it's early enough to be in that era of, like, super well-known games, and it's not getting overshadowed by Super NES and stuff like that. 88? Like it's just a level of it displays a level of mastery of how to do things on the NES hardware. Like it feels very built around things that the NES can do well. Ah! Oof. Should let them fall off instead of going down there with them. The platforms are slippery here. If you hadn't noticed. See, like my wheels aren't spinning, but I keep moving. Now here, Kodaka. Okay, I think this heads to the final room with the boss to the right here. No, it's another room. Didn't really want to go over here. That's okay. I don't really need the hover for anything. I'll probably get it back before I do. Oh! Oof. There we go. I love how tricky it is to aim at things in this, like... Like it's been such a joy to get a feel for how to play this game. Like it's a control scheme that feels deep to me. Like there's a lot of subtle stuff about doing it well. And I've been saying I think that's a turnoff for a lot of players, but for me it just feels so good. Oh, right. So I kind of wonder if anything's hidden in those blocks, but I can't shoot downward until I get the wall ability. And once I get the wall climb ability, I won't have a reason to go back through this room because I'll go back up through here. And it doesn't really matter if there's anything in there. There's nothing I would need. Okay, instead of knocking out both blocks there, I've learned to knock out only one. That way I don't roll into those spikes. Hang on. No, this is a bad idea. So, when I come out of this room, like if I left my tank in the middle of these blocks, would it be stuck there forever when I came out? I suspect the answer is yes. Okay, this dungeon is a real nuisance, mostly because of the slidey ice bits here. This room isn't so bad. Like these enemies are a little bit annoying because they move really erratically, but they're not the real problem. The real problem is this room right here. Because it's hard to step on the ice and then turn around. Ah! Ah! Okay, I made it. Okay. Oof. That was a little bit tense. Okay, gun power up. I know there's another gun power up. I guess it's in the top left here. I don't know exactly where. Oh, there we go. Hi there, Larry B. How's it going? Seems to be going pretty well tonight. Ah, I took damage. Oh wait, I can probably get back. I just can't fire too close to the wall. Oh, there we go. Ah, let's get in the middle. There, now my bullets won't collide with the wall so much. Okay, that enemy disappeared. Sometimes, I've seen those, these kind of mounted gun enemies. I've seen them disappear. So these blocks of spikes everywhere kind of make it hard to dodge because you have to back up. If something's coming at you in a corridor, you gotta back up and move around the spikes. But I've seen those enemies disappear and then like reappear suddenly as I'm walking near them. Which can be pretty annoying. Alright. Oh right, I can shoot through walls now. Gun level 8 shoots through walls. I'm not sure. I think things despawn sometimes for some reason or other. There's probably some concurrent item limit that... Oh, this is not going well. Oh! Oh, I'm severely reduced power now. Whew. Okay, first death. Okay, I'm running out of here. And I'm gonna go get back that gun, I guess. Yeah, they reused the crab. They made it green. They do that at least twice in this game. So that enemy just disappeared. And I expect they might come back if I come back through this room. Ah! To have a gun and then to lose it. There, it disappeared again. That seems to happen a lot in this room, so I don't... Like, it doesn't feel like too many... There's a lot of enemies around, you know, but maybe there's something about the way things work in this room that are triggering a bug, or I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, for the most part, enemies, they freeze when they scroll off screen, but they don't actually disappear unless you actually kill them, and then they stay dead. Oh, let me get to that before it disappears, please. Okay. Ah! There should be another gun down here somewhere. Aha! There we go. Back to full power. So I expect some of those turrets, that's the word I was looking for, the turret enemies, some of them will probably come back because they disappeared. and so they never register to kill. They'll still respawn when you get back to them. But yeah, I think it tracks... If you go far enough, enemies do start respawning, but... like dead enemies, but... Ah... Well, now I can't shoot through the wall anymore. So, I don't know if it tracks like the last 32 enemies or something, but... Alright. Let's see. I think this is a really hard boss. So is the next one. It's like it grabs junk from the top of the screen and then it like throws it at you. Aye! Whoa! Aye! I'm hoping the last boss isn't as quite as tricky as this one and the one that follows it, but aye! This might actually be better because now I've got a straight shot and I can stun it more. Okay. Look at that. So that looks kind of like an engine. Or maybe it's like a cog to climb the wall with. I don't know. But it's the wall ability. So now, just to show, I can climb walls. And the funny thing about the wall abilities in this game, so after like spending all this time like learning how to control the very subtle and deep mechanics of the tank, I think homing would be effective here. There we... Whoa! Did I shoot like 5 at once somehow? I guess I don't need that power. Anyway, this is a shortcut back to the beginning of the stage. This is like the second room in the level. It typically like gives you something at the end of... or it gives you a way to get back to the start of an area quickly at the end of it. Or maybe it always does. Some areas less quick than others, like this one has that kind of diverted loop, but... So that fired too. Does that fire a homing missile for every enemy that's on screen right now? Is that how that works? That's kind of neat. One way to find out, I guess get on a room with a lot of enemies. Okay. So now that we have the wall climb, we go back to area 2. So, like, that seemed to kill them both. And it took 2 ammo. So I think that's how it works. I didn't realize that was how the homing weapon worked. And this locked door... I love how that becomes weirdly awkward, but it kind of emphasizes the effect of the wall climb that you just got. So I like it. It's sort of a funny tutorial for, hey, this is your life. You gotta be wary of climbing walls now. And then the next one you get goes even further. Like you get ceiling climb, but also means like you can't walk off the edge of ledges anymore because you start wrapping around and going onto the underside, and it like completely changes how it feels at a late stage in the game. So it's like a whole new way of moving to learn, which is pretty wonderful and tough. It's also really tough. Now we can do this. Oh wait, that's not a good way to get up there. I don't want to fall into the... Okay, I wasn't sure where the brambles start. Alright, so back to area 2. I don't think it's that unusual for games that were inspired by Super Metroid. I think it was fairly unusual in games before Super Metroid. Okay, so here, the way to area 7 is in the bottom left corner of this room. Aye. Yeah, down here. And you can actually get down here without this thing. This is just kind of a shortcut. But, and this room always reminds me of Hibarike or Euphoria. Like it has this internal corridor that looks kind of like that. So you can't really do anything in this room. At first I thought I was going to have to hover up here, but then I realized my hover power was never going to get up here. But then I got the wall climb. And... oh, they knocked me down. Hi, there might be a wizard. I feel like I'm close to mastering Master or Blaster Master. Mastering Blaster Master. Becoming a Blaster? I don't know how to... couldn't think of a smooth way to phrase that, but here we go. Do I want that extra homing? I've got 90. I'm gonna pick up more on the way anyway. Alright, Area 7. Here comes the intense music. Right, we don't go up there. There must be a really good cover of this tune out there. I haven't played much of Journey to Silius. I've heard the soundtrack a lot of times, but there's a lot of NES games I've listened to the soundtrack but never played. How much lightning do I have? I don't need it. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go for it. Why not? Who knows if it'll be handy in the last area there. You think somebody said that for every tune in the game? Maybe. But I would say one thing, like this soundtrack taught me a lot. I like this room because you have to dig. You have to figure out a way to dig. Though, I did recently figure out a way to shoot down. You could shoot up and down like this. Which is a way to dig I hadn't thought of initially. Do I know if that power? But like this soundtrack, even though I hadn't played the game, it really taught me a lot about ways to do percussion on the NES. And I don't know, like it's one of the... This and kind of Ninja Turtles together are like my blueprint for how I make percussion instruments on the NES. I especially like the percussion in the Area 1 music. Like it's just like if you listen to that track in isolation, it's got a lot of life to it. But in the whole track, it just kind of underpins it and doesn't really stand out. So if I go up here, I think that's a shortcut back to the start. Because once again we have to go back. Okay, so this room... Hang on. So do I still have a... I still have some gun from the boss. I don't really need it. I'm just gonna keep going. Oh. So there's a dungeon on the bottom left of this room, which has a lot of great stuff. But I don't need it. I've got 90 homing. Like, I don't think I really need pickups, and... the only thing I kinda want is some gun to make the start of the dungeon, the boss dungeon, a little bit easier. But there's an alternative way to do that anyway, so it doesn't matter. The rocks are lit from underneath because of the lava. Yeah, like I used to just use maps of this game, even though I hadn't played it. I used maps of this game just as pixel art inspiration. This and Gimmick. So there is a gun power-up. Actually, you know what? I'll go get that. Why not? Why not? Just because, like, so many times I got to that spot and I was out of hover, and it's really tedious to try to regain hover in this dungeon, or in this area. So this is the boss dungeon right here. Though, not so tedious once I figured out the one place where it is. Okay, so now my gun's at full power. Without even... There is enough gun power up in this dungeon to be at full power by the boss, and you kind of need it. Because this boss is tough. Very tough. I've only beaten it once. Like, there's 4 right there. If you need it, which you don't because I'm at full. There we go. And when you have a wide gun against these enemies, there's the other 4. So if you don't take any hits after the first gun power-up in this area, you can have full gun by the end. And once you have 4 gun, it's kind of easy to hit these guys from the side. Okay. Well, now I gotta go back for it. Hopefully it's still there. Animated backgrounds, like bubbling lava. Ah, damn it. That's disappointing. Now I don't have full gun for the boss. Took 1 hit right at the end. Okay. Whew. Oh no! Oh no! This boss just got a lot harder to hit. And this boss has a lot of health. Aye. Okay, Flaming Tongue coming out soon, I think. And then 4 flames. And another Flaming Tongue. Okay, so I'm starting to see its pattern. I think that's the start of the loop there, because it starts with like 3 fireball attack. But when I don't know if fire's coming or not, I have to stay away from it so that I have time to dodge. So when I see the first flame tongue and then 4 fireballs, I know I can feed it a little bit on the second flame tongue. So, I don't know. That's kind of this boss. Like, once I learned to stay away from it, suddenly it was easier to dodge its attacks, but okay, 3 fireballs. 3, 4. So you don't have to memorize the whole pattern, but just know to stay away, and like a few attacks really stand out and you can take advantage of them because you know they're coming. There's a fire. Okay. 3. Is it always 5? Ah! Couldn't take advantage of it. Okay, there's the loop. Don't hit me with fire. It's like that attack, the fireball attack, is the one that's hardest to avoid, I find. Like if you're close, it just kind of hits. But if you're far away, it's easy to just move. Okay, 3 fireballs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So, I don't know how much longer this fight goes, but I do seem to have an okay handle on it. Probably a fireball. Okay, so flame tongue coming up. Aye! See, that's my one opportunity. Like, I know what's coming there, so I have a lot of time to just attack it. So I'm down to straight shot. Another fireball, and now the tongue? Ah! Oh, damn it. Okay. So now I want to go all the way back through this dungeon and collect the gun. Ah, that was such a good attempt, I felt. Okay, so so after several runs of getting to that boss and just like getting wiped out by it, I feel like it's pretty good now. It's probably as hard as the boss just before it. So these enemies are a bit annoying until you have a gun power up, because you only hit them straight on. If you're paying attention, usually you can count their bullets. They do 3 and then they pause in a repetitive pattern. But once you have a gun that can bend bullets, not so bad. So is this boss also your frog? That's a good question. That looked like that enemy disappeared without dying. So I'm worried it'll come back on my way back. But since these enemies only shoot in a straight line, they're a lot easier to attack from the side with the curvy bullets. You can shoot down their bullets if your aim is precise. But this game also has like a handedness thing, so like you're always shooting from your right side when you're facing up, and your left side when you're facing down. And the only reason I think the only reason they don't do it for left and right is because they just flip the sprite, so they'd have to have like an up and down, like separate left and right sprites. And that just wasn't worth the memory. Otherwise, I think they would have done it for left and right as well. A long way back, though. Alright, we're almost to the power-up. That better not disappear. Ah! Ah! Well, now I might as well leave. Go all the way back. And respawn it. So I'm pretty much at the start now. Alright, back in we go. Or, oh, wait, it doesn't matter. Whoa! Okay, I'm gonna heal up in my tank. Then I realized how tough these enemies were when you're fighting them without a tank. Wow. Okay. Thankfully you can heal in the tank. Took me a while to discover that you could do that, but it is quite useful sometimes. Especially after you've just fought a boss and you're trying to get back to the tank. How are you doing, Hazemaker? Okay, we get back our gun. I like how the gun power-up is like a revolver icon, even though this gun doesn't seem very revolver-like. I thought I could do it that way. Okay, let's try this way. There we go. Let's get this one ahead of time. Oh! Oh yeah, once you have level 8 gun, you can shoot through walls, which is interesting. So, I thought that's where the last gun power-up was. I don't actually need it, but it'd be nice to be able to go back to it in case of disaster. Ah! Like that. Let's see if it's there. Aha! Okay. Hi there, Ed Horse. How's it going? Alright. There we go. Okay, made it to the gun. Well, it's overpowered, but if I ever take damage, I lose it. So, I don't know. What's that phrase? Glass cannon? Jason's a glass cannon. Okay, fireball, 3 fireballs. Sparks, I think. And maybe a fireball, I'm not sure. At first I thought this was just random. Oh! I've already taken a hit. Yeah, complacent. 3 fireballs or 4? Yeah, 4. 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm not in a good place to shoot it. Okay, this should be 3 fireballs, start of the loop. Now I think 1 fireball? Oh, no, that's the 1 fireball. Ah! 2, 3, 4. Okay. That's the one spot where I think I have the most possibility of damaging the boss. Because grenades do a ton of damage. Okay. Next one's probably fireball. Or might be more sparks. Two sparks, fireball, 2 sparks, fireball, tongue, 4 fire. Ah, I'm too close. It's really hard to get a good position for that. I guess you kind of have to bait it to where you want. It's a bit erratic though. Sparks. And then sparks, and then fireball. So I've pretty much figured out the pattern. Now I know. Ah, I knew that was a fireball. Oh, no. This one's a fireball right here. And then... This seems like a... There we go. Okay, so you don't get fireballs in a row. That's good to know. So I can do that. Like once you know what's coming, this boss gets a whole lot easier. Oh, I missed it. Oh! Okay, another fireball. And now the tongue. Three, 4, okay. Come on, okay. Yeah, it's really hard to get in for an attack from the other ones. Okay. Big tongue. 4 flame. Oh! I thought I was in a position to avoid that, but apparently not. At least I got 1 hit in. Oh, it requires a lot of concentration. 2. I think this is a 5, and then... No, I don't know. Yeah, it moves too fast to kind of get in position. Okay, here comes the tongue. One, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Okay. This boss takes forever. No. Try shooting again. Fireball. 1, 2. Fireball again. Tongue time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. Come on. Why won't you explode? That was almost it for me. Oh. Okay. Fireball, now it's the tongue. Two, 3, 4. Come on! Ah, the aiming is so... You can only hit it when its mouth is open. And with the patterns it has, there just aren't very many opportunities for it. Three, 4. There we go. Ah, finally. I have a sense of where to stand. Like, the times I missed, it was consistent. It's just... It's really hard to position yourself in the right spot. Alright. I got to stage... Well, I haven't reached stage 8 yet, but I probably will. It's likely I will reach stage 8. But what has happened is we can now walk on the ceiling, which also makes getting around awkward. Because I can't walk off the edge of platforms anymore, I stick to them. So... Oh, I wonder why it didn't work there. I think... Oh, I must have released the button. Or I took damage. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, so, like, I have a sense of where I need to stand. It's just really hard. Like, it moves randomly to some extent. It kind of follows you, but it's also, like, sometimes, you know, it's a little bit up or down or whatever. So it's really hard to position yourself in the right spot, and you don't have much time to position yourself before it opens its mouth. It's hard to damage it any time other than that one attack. When you have the level 8 gun, you can kind of hit it from a distance all the time, but like the grenades do so much more damage. Alright. I wonder if I can... Oh, crap. Oh, that's mean. Am I gonna die in the lava here? I don't think this is enough, Okay, first continue. I did not make it to stage 8 without a continue. I knew it wasn't, So, there was a shortcut to the start of this area. I guess I can't show that now, but... oh well. That was a different shortcut. If this was a speed run, that would certainly be what they do. I think they would take a continue to warp back, because a continue always puts you back at the start of your current area. So I keep all my upgrades and stuff. I lose my weapons. What am I doing? What am I doing? Oh, that's right. I stick to walls and stuff now. Oh, this, yeah. So it's like a whole new... You have to learn to move all over again. Like making this jump is... It's weird. Anyhow, basically, if you go up 2 rooms back, like 1 room back from where I was, I could go straight up a shaft, and that would lead to a way that goes basically to the first room of Area 7. I think coming out the bottom right or something like that, or... It's basically in there somewhere. So now, I need to go to Area 3, which I'm trying to remember. Oh, that's right, it's just up here. Right above here, there's a door behind a blasty block. I'm realizing all of a sudden, you just do this. You can't crawl around into the pipe. You have to be on the ground to enter the pipe. Oh, I can finally get revenge on the bugs. Take that. Okay, so this section right here... I'm not sure if I mentioned, but... right now, because I'm upside down, I press right to move left and left to move right. If you crawl up a wall, up is the forward direction you were pressing before you went up the wall, kind of permanently. So if I crawled around to a left wall, right would be down and left would be up, but on the right wall, right is up and left is down. And on the ceiling, right is left and left is right. Okay, because I took damage there, I fell off. I gotta do this again. And those are infinite enemies. They knew what they were doing. They put enemies you can't kill and get rid of in a place you have to not take a hit, so you have to be careful to avoid them. But they're also random. So they could have not appeared there. Anyhow, there were these spikes here. I didn't show them on my first pass through this area, but you have to come back here. And this is how you get through there. Death from above. Okay, I guess that didn't work, but... So basically, like, trying to jump off the edge of a ledge is really hard now. Because I tend to stick to it and wrap around instead. And that's part of what makes this area really hard. So, I did not get through this area last time. I explored, I don't know how much of it. I'm guessing about half of it. This room was really hard. I have to take really careful steps through here. Oh! Also, there's a lot of bullets that are just out of sight that spawn when... And I can't get that... I was trying to demonstrate that I couldn't get that, but then I released the button and it dropped me. I can't get either of them. Hang on. I can actually get it. Oh, no! Okay, well, I was wrong. Anyhow, here I'm holding right to move left. But yeah, like there will be times when you destroy an enemy just off the corner of a block, and it's basically impossible to walk off the corner of the block to get it anymore. Oh, I thought I could... Oh. Enemies come by surprise so often. Everything's a trap. So instead of... I can do a thing where I jump here, and then I can edge, like I could pass the point on the corner and not use the corner. Hang on, let me get this guy. Anyway, oh, I should get rid of this one first. Pick up that power. This is where it gets really tricky. So this is a jump I've got to make. So I can't go over the corner into the spikes. So I do a little jump here. And like that. That's the technique I worked out for getting across those last time. I don't know if there's another way to do it, but that was the way I figured out. You don't want to fall into those spikes. So this room. Okay, this room just has a dungeon in it. It's got some cool stuff, but... And my ship is unloaded, so... Maybe I could use it, but... I got here, and I fell into the spikes last time. And this was where my game ended last time. I was really low on continue. I think I had one continue left by the time I got to this area, and it took me like many lives to figure out that first room. It'd be nice if I could get that hover. That's what I mean about things that are like just off the corner. You can't pick up something while going around the corner. Okay, so this is a dungeon. What kind of dungeon will it be? I remember the dungeon in the other area being really easy. Okay, that's spikes. It's like it's offering me to go on the spikes, though. That's weird. Do I want to try and cross that? I'll probably eat up all my power. What's on the other side? Okay. Did the enemy just come back? Can I hit it? There we go. Okay, we got one of those scorpion deals. Oh, it disappeared. Go up here. Done. That gun was short-lived. Why can't I hit that enemy? Oh, that was pointless. What else is in here? This is a weird dungeon. Okay. Oh, these might give me missiles. I think I could use those. That probably just goes back to where I was. Filling me with pee. Okay, what have we got? We've got hover and homing stuff. Homing stuff is good to have. Okay, this looks like the area that I didn't cross at the beginning. So if I could cross it for 4 damage, I could get that P and then be full. You found the track that nobody will claim as their favorite? Maybe. Okay, so you can't go across that way anyway. There was no gun power up in here. Okay, so the other dungeon was more... I seem to recall there being more stuff, more useful stuff in it, but I don't actually remember what it dropped. Anyway. The attribute glitch at the bottom makes it seem like I can walk through a door down there. Pumpkin Land. Super Mario Land 2 was great. That had an amazing soundtrack. Okay, but I have hover now, which I remember. So last time, I took a few deaths at this room over here to the left. Okay, so I feel like... Oh, no, I don't want to waste hover. That was an accident. This room. Wheels spin in the wrong direction when you're on the ceiling. Okay. Let me see. They seem to spin correctly. That looks right to me. Alright, what have we got now? Did that just climb the wall? Like the wrong wall, or... That looked weird. Okay, this is a new room for me. I've never been here. Okay, that thing's gonna drop a ton of bombs. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't say this is a track that I'd want to listen to like on its own, but it really does set a good mood for this moment. It feels very appropriate. Okay, is this another like hover thing? Die! Okay. Okay, so I just need to hover across that. Almost dead here. And there are bugs everywhere. Oh wait, I've got homing missiles. That'll take care of them. Okay, do I want to go up or down? These things drop hover. That seems important. Oh, I'm almost dead. I just wanted to see... Okay, so this goes straight to the top. If I wanted to sacrifice... If I wanted to sacrifice health, I could probably walk through the spikes at the top and just get through this room faster, but I don't think I'd want to do that. Actually, that reminds me, I read on the cutting room floor that there's an unused ship upgrade, which was going to be basically a spike breaker. I got stuck. Still not used to the movement. So that's why the first time I got here, I did not succeed, because I'm used to trying to jump and then like trying to jump off corners all the time, and it doesn't work anymore. You go around the corners. And when it's unexpected, you often go down into spikes and stuff. So there's spikes on the ceiling so that I can't ceiling walk across this room. I wonder if there's something up there, or if that's... Oh, that's a really cool spot. Can I missile it from a distance? What's the idea here? Is this one of those pitch jumps, or how do I avoid taking damage there? Ooh, this is hairy. This could be the final boss. I don't know if I was supposed to take the down path or the up path first. These enemies have an awful lot of hit points. I guess I'm used to using the grenades on them. Yeah, the 2-unit spikes. What was it? Oh, I don't know if I finished saying, but the cutting room floor said that there's an unused spike breaker item in like the game's data. And apparently some ROM hacks have put it to use, but it seems like they had planned for an area that you get through that's like covered in spikes. And that'd be like the final item that lets you progress anywhere. Okay. Wait, didn't it give me gun? And then I lost it? I'm certain this purple stuff is deadly, so I'm not gonna walk on that. I don't know what it's made of, but... So, my ship is at 0 power. I don't know how I can possibly get out of here without losing it. This is tricky to navigate. Okay, at least those have a limited range, so that I can stay back here and... can outrange it. Takes a lot of hits, though. Okay, that'll make the next one easier. Okay, it just despawned. And now it's back. Okay, what do we got? Okay. Okay. Problem is, I need ship health, which I can't get in here. That's like the one thing I can't get in here. Oh, I lost my gun. Oh well. Okay, so I learned what's in here. This is another dungeon that I guess I don't need to visit at all. I think that's the lesson. Hey, oh, did I go this way? Okay, this still could be the final boss dungeon. So I'm not sure if I was supposed to go up or... Oh, okay, dead end. Well, can I respawn that? Because it might drop gun. How come you said hi, Eclipse Moon? Didn't we already greet a while ago? Okay, so how do I save this ship? This ship has got 0 power. Like, I'm not going to be able to cross anything here. Okay, I got 1 power. Actually, this one I think I could get back from with my other technique. There we go. Getting forward I couldn't do it, but going back, I guess I can. That's interesting. Okay, let's try and... Hi! It still lets you move a little bit when you hit 0 power. Oh, it won't stop. No, I don't need it. Ah! Aye! Okay, I'm gonna have to do this whole section again, I think, because... Okay. Aye! There's still time for 1 jump before the tank explodes, it's funny. Oh, he. Okay. I see. So, now I'm back at the beginning of this area. And all the things I collected are gone. Which makes me think I should... do that other room. Okay, so that's my... I've done 2 continues now? I should have 2 left. But I feel like I made a lot of progress in this level so far in the form of knowing where not to go. Ooh. But those, like, spike traps in the floor, I don't feel I've figured out a good coping technique yet. Like, I thought my jump over the edge, or like, little jump... Like, see that technique I was trying? Doesn't work super well. Like, I can't do it consistently anyway. Oof. Ask the Experts in Copenhagen? Is that a reference to something? Is that a quantum mechanics thing? Aye! Back to the beginning of this room. So as you can see, this is how I lost all my continues. Like, I think I got here with a couple continues left last time. It took me a number of tries to beat the frog boss, but and I had some trouble with the crab boss, so this time I got here with more continues left, and some knowledge, because I did manage to navigate this room last time once. And somehow I did it first try tonight, but maybe I was just lucky. Actually, how long have I been streaming? Wow, it's been 2.5 hours? So, there is a route through here that, you know, you mostly avoid the tricky jumps, but then you get to this spot. Okay. I think what I was failing to do is I need to jump before I press right. There we go. Maybe it'll work out for me in the other room too then. So now that I'm here, I think I want to go to this room. So I skipped this room earlier, but I remember how it was laid out, and it was not tricky to get up through. And there's a nice dungeon at the top right of this room, which has a lot of good power-ups. And there's the weird pink bullet enemy right there. I don't know why there's one that's pink, but I like it. It's fun. Okay. So I recall this being a very easy dungeon. And having a bunch of useful stuff at the end, like hover. That's what I really need. I need hover. I don't think I'm going to get it anywhere else. What are some bad power-ups? I mean, it's a good collection of power-ups. Better than what I got in that other dungeon. The pink enemy is the key to it all. Possibly. Okay. So it's sort of this back and forth thing. You could walk across the spikes, but you take, I think, at least 1 damage each time. And be hard to retain power. Okay. Get some gun, lose some gun. The main thing I'm looking for is hover. There. So it just gave me full hover. Like, that's a good collection. So I got 40 homing missiles, 80 regular missiles, 20 lightning, full hover. Hover's the thing I was most worried about, because, like, you need that to get through to the left. Oh, wait. I don't know why I thought the door was above. Perspective kind of fooled me. I keep forgetting this very, very impressive thing that this game does with, like, you can walk under the edge of a wall. Like it's a Super Nintendo game or something. So the spikes here make it tempting to just walk out. Wait. On the outside, I would just get back my health anyway. However, I have one gun. So if I stepped on the spikes, I'd lose it. Hi there, Rory Plane. How's it going? I have 2 continues left, I think. I think that's how I'm doing in this one. Okay, so I need to fall kind of straight down from here, I think. Oof. Oh! Right? Okay. What? Oh, no! Okay, so easier way. I'll go here. So if you release the button on the corner, if you release the direction on a corner, you kind of fall off. Okay. Okay. I'm tempted to try and get that power, but I don't think I can do it safely. Okay. So now I've got hover. Don't need to go to that room on the right ever. Yeah, the way corners work. So I can push... See, I can scoot towards it, and if I have enough momentum to keep going when I release, I can fall off the edge, but it's like... Like here... I don't know. Hover! Wait, why wasn't... Was I out of hover last time? Ah. I do like the fact that it's basically like learning a whole new movement set at the end of the game. It's giving me something new that has some depth to it. Like that part of it is cool. It does have some really messy components to it, though, I think. Okay, so don't need to go up ever again. Hey, this time I have lightning. So I could just hover these, in theory. Okay, they didn't do much damage, at least. I thought I could get it. I was wrong. Okay, I made it through that room finally. Ah, I knew it. I knew that was going to be there. Okay, do I want to go left or right? Yes. I'm very glad that there's a guts level. You always need a guts level at the end of the video game. Maybe I should have thrown the Giga remote in there too. Whoa! The bomb is a red bug? Wow! That's incredible. Okay, this feels like a long hallway to the end of the game. That's what this feels like to me, so I think I'm gonna go back. Oh! I thought I could... Oh! Even the hover's worth getting. Everything is so scarce here. This is neat. Cross sections of cadavers. Oh man. I once went to an anatomy museum and like... some of that stuff, like, it was very fascinating, but some of it, like, on first sight, it's just, you know, to see a human body taken apart in certain ways. Oh, okay, so this is just a regular... Maybe I can recover my hover here, though. Whoa! This is a new interior enemy, I think. I don't remember seeing them ever before. Did they drop anything? Heads full of missiles. Always welcome. Ooh, this is a big field. Okay, this is definitely worth going to. Look at all this junk. Okay, nothing around it. The inside should stay on the inside. If things are going well for that human, yeah. I don't know if these drop anything. Maybe not. So it's a new enemy we haven't seen anywhere. Oh no, it does drop power. Okay. That didn't have hover. Had some other stuff, but no hover. At least I can build up. At least it replaced these mines, which I can use to build up some power. In theory. Okay, that was a net. Okay, what's over here? Oh, right, this was the room with the... the thing that drops the red bug bombs. That is such a twist. It can drop multiple bombs. I like that the shape of the floor here kind of gives me an extra way to hit the red enemies without a Okay, that skull seems to have gone calm. It's also giving me a way to farm hover at possibly great expense, but... Ah! Wow, that did a lot of damage. Just bomb everything. Ay! Oh! Every ledge. Forget I'm playing the different game now. Is there gonna be like a ton of red enemies as soon as I scroll down there? Could I pause and make them spawn? Yeah. I did the thing. That trick is coming in handy. Come on. Wow. Okay, the skull should still be alive. It's really hard to hit it from back here. Don't explode me! I really want this POW. Oh, okay. Because it's not for me. Don't know if I need hover anymore. This is really tense. This is very good. This game is incredible. We reached the end of the terrifying intestinal room. Okay, why are these stopping? Come on. Okay. Oof. Aim and added sound animation on damage. Oh no. Oh, there could be stuff anywhere in this room. I feel like I should check the whole thing. Well, I feel like this is like the room before the final boss, so it's probably worth my while to find whatever they're gonna give me. Okay. They put this corner here, and it's totally empty. Of course it is. Oh wait, that was a bad idea. Wait, I want to see what it is first. Okay. There. Thoroughly investigate this. Oh, wait. Can I? I can't get down here. I don't have a way to shoot that. I have to do it from the layer below. Wait. Now we're in. There we go. Now we can check these, which might just be nothing. Now I can be satisfied that I've checked everything. Okay. Oh. Alright. So, final boss? Whoa, they moved in a circle here. Whoa. A room I've got to clear. Oh no. Okay, there's 2 doors, 3 doors. Oh wow. Is this gonna be like a big, terrifying maze? Of course it is. Now, would there be anything... Oh, how do I know if there's anything useful in this room? Okay, did I... Okay. Whoa, do these guys have extra health? Straight down, no good. Guess we'll proceed. Check all 12 options, I guess it's giving me. I'm gonna lose my guns. What if one of these rooms has fresh guns? Oh no, the handedness thing. The handedness thing finally wore out its welcome. Oh dear. Okay, I might get some gun from these enemies. Might not. Wish my grenades were helpful here. An empty room. That's curious. Okay. Staying out of there for the moment. Want to check the other rooms. It's funny that it was just like straight up. Like, that seems like the most obvious room to go to, I guess. Okay, that enemy despawned. Will it respawn? Could I pause to make it return? Where'd it go? Okay. I guess there's not going to be anything, but I think I should check them all, just so I know. I mean, there could be one that has, like, goodies in it. Nope. None of them. Okay, well, no gunpowder, and we gotta... Oh, we found one hidden item in this room. And it was 1 POW. What a thing to hide in this room. Oh no. Oh no. There is stuff. I don't want to check them all. And they come back so I can't know what I've checked. But if I could find a gun in one of them, I could leave and farm it. It'd be... If I could find a gun in one of them, I could leave and farm it so easily. Hey, it's the thing from the box. Okay, it's shooting a bouncing thing at me. This feels strangely like Arkanoid, but in reverse, maybe. Yeah, that's probably a much better idea. This strafen. Reminds me of Robomanus in Battletoads a lot. Oh, come on. How much health does this thing have? I feel like I just did massive damage to it. There we go. First try. The thing from the box, yes. Oh no, there's another. Ah! I didn't see that coming. Oof. All the way back to the start of this area. Double boss. Probably should have expected that, but wow. Okay. That's not what I was trying to do. Can I get this? There we go. Okay, at least I think I have my technique for getting through this area worked out, and I realized I know a lot of places that I don't need to go. I think this song is perfect for this part of the game. It fits very well. Okay. Okay, so my new technique, jump, then press right. Actually, that was the technique from before, but I had to rediscover it or relearn how to do it. Jump, then tap right. And then once you're far enough over, you're past the catch point for the turn. Almost failed that, but that one was a little bit more forgiving than the first jump. Okay. Oh, dear. Ah. Those weren't so troublesome the first time. They like weren't shooting at me at all. Now they're a fountain of... These enemies didn't shoot at me at all last time. Maybe I have a brief moment where I can shoot them before they start firing or something. Oh! Because then this happens and... Oh. A game where the earlier parts get harder if you reach a certain part and reset? What do you mean? Are you saying I should make such a game? Oh. No, I think a lot of that is like, sometimes the first way I do something, it's like I get lucky and don't realize I avoided a trap. Huh. Well, if I could avoid taking damage, I could keep this little bit of gun, but it's hard to do that. Okay. One more scorpion? Yeah. Which kind is this? Okay, it's the spiral fire kind. That's what I really can't... Well, the homing stuff is good, but the hover is what I need to proceed. And I don't know how I'd get... I could leave... I could go back to area 3. That'd be a long way out. I don't know. This seems like it should be easy. It's just those first two enemies I didn't... They blindsided me. I didn't expect that. Because I think the technique is that they pause for a moment before they bombard. So if you get to them fast, it's fine. And I think that's what I did the first time. But if you don't, they carpet the platform with bombs. Like, you just can't. Okay. So I think I should use homing missiles against these enemy here, because... Oh, it takes 2. Because their bombs tend to knock me out, and I don't know if I'm going to survive this yet again. Only I could grab that P. Oh well. You know, if I... This is my last life on this continue. It seems like the missiles do the most damage. Every P I can recover here is important. Okay, now I'm feeling... Aye! They were all important. That's... I needed them all. I don't know why they didn't work, but... that's the nature of this ceiling drive. The engineers of Sophia III didn't quite work out all the bugs on their ceiling drive. So I should pursue this bullet enemy, yeah. Just in case. Okay. Alright. There we go. This is the gauntlet of bugs. Ah. Aye. You know what? The lightning is pretty effective on a short jump. Because it doesn't diverge too much from that position. Aye! Oh. I think this is my last continue. Alright. Well. I now feel like I definitely should search that last room in its entirety. Because if I find the location of a gun in it, I can easily collect it multiple times. And this annoys me. There we go. Can't go over the corner and collect a corner POW. Wait, what are you calling Brownie in motion? The lightning pattern? There's so often a way to counterattack an enemy, but it's like, I just can't react fast enough to implement it. Like, when I'm on a wall. Because, like, when I'm on a wall, I can press up and then shoot that way. It's just, I'd have to think that faster than I'm able to. Like, by the time I'm thinking, this is the perfect way to defeat this enemy, it's already too late and it's hitting me. Aye. No! Okay. There's a thing I haven't really worked out properly, where I think going over the corner and then turning around causes you to fall. So when I like panic because I've gone over the corner by accident, let me see. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just falling because I hit the spikes, or I don't know. Confusing. Oh yeah, and then the accidental coast over the corner. You can do that. So I thought I had this down well. Hey! Turns out I didn't. I think I just got it twice in a row. And I thought I'd figured it out. So I'm likely not to get through this room. Ugh. Okay. Thank you. Thankful for every pea that drops. Okay. So. Gotta hit these enemies fast. Yeah. Oh! Forgot which side that one was on. I was on top of a pea! Oh. Okay, no, they don't always wait. I was wrong about that. But, still worth it to try and rush them. What bothered me was like the pink one attacked me straight down and I hit it, but the non-pink one also attacked me straight down and I didn't hit it. It's like the pink one has a larger hitbox or something. And this is a long dungeon, but I don't know how else to recover hover at this point. Like, this seems the best way to do it. So it doesn't feel optional. That last room, 1,743? I'm kind of surprised that it would be an odd number, which makes me wonder if you really counted them. But a 32 by 32 grid should be 1,024 blocks. I don't know how big the grid is, but... Okay. So I got some hover. Got a tiny bit of spare gun. Was there a gun dropping enemy early in this dungeon? In which case I could farm it. I don't really want to do that either, but... when you reach the... what I'm assuming now is the ultimate stage. Because, like, now I've seen every corner of it, and there was no... and the manual said there were 8 stages, but... I've seen every corner of this area, and there was no way out, right? So, I mean, it have to be... this has to be... These things are so dangerous. know what the... Is the missile a better way to attack them? Oh! No! Well, there goes half my hover. Okay. I wonder if there's anything in here I can shoot. Oh, that thing's worth farming for hover. Oh, it can jump. So that's worth picking up. So I think the missiles do more damage than the homing. The homing, you can fire many of them at once, and they fire up and down. I don't know why that's so easy to flub, but it really is. No! Somehow not dead. Yeah, I think I lost more than a continue on it last time I played. Have a good night, Coca-Cola. How do I keep from taking damage from this enemy? No! Wait, I'm alive! I'm just going up here looking for the bugs for once. Oh no! Okay, I'll accept that. Okay. I've collected all the bugs it will give me. I could drop and hover here. So desperate. I thought I was killed by a bug. Oh. Oh. Yeah, now I need hover badly. This is very intense. No. I'm out of lightning. I could use all of these, but then I won't. Oh. So, a little jump over spikes, I don't think it's that bad, but whoa. Okay, well, what am I saying? They're all bad. They're all bad. But the thing is, if you do a high jump and then activate hover, you need more hover to counteract your greater fall. So I want to do a little jump here and activate the hover a little bit early. And that one's just... I don't know. They're all a nightmare. All a nightmare. Okay. Well, that's it. That's it for tonight. I saw the final boss once. I still love this game. This is great. But it's going to take another try, at least. Oof. I wish I'd gotten to sweep that room. Oh. Oh, that was good. That was very good.